We have a great show lined up for you today here on Retiring Well, talking about great news for retirees with Social Security COLA predictions. How to build a stronger IRA. So many of you have those retirement accounts. How do you make that even better? 12 ways to avoid the IRA early withdrawal penalty. And then lastly, business owners and retirement. So you'll want to be paying attention to all these great topics, as we're going to be talking about that and a whole lot more coming up right here, right now on Retiring Well.
Retiring Well, brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well, plan to retire well.
Hey, welcome to this segment. Great news for retirees. Social Security COLA predictions. Hey, 2023 for the cost of living adjustment for Social Security was the best since 1981. It was an 8.7% increase in your Social Security benefits. A lot of you felt that. You also felt inflation. You know, they're basing this on the consumer price index. And so as that goes up and the cost of goods go up, you know, they're going to give you some cost of living adjustments in your Social Security. You know, the current economic position that we're in is that inflation is reducing. And so right now we're at the lowest point in the last 2 years, and it's hovering right around that 3% mark. That's good news, okay, for the long-term inflation. There's a group called the Senior Citizens League. It's one of the largest companies, nonpartisan, for helping out senior citizens. And they earlier this year came out with a prediction that they thought Social Security might go up with COLA of 2.7% for 2024. They just recently revised that, and they're saying that for their predictions for 2024, likely it's going to be a 3% COLA. Now, we still have some months left, so we'll wait and see what actually happens. But what kind of impact does it have on the different groups? Well, look at this graphic and see if you apply to any of these. Retired workers, your average monthly benefit of $1,837 could increase to $1,892. Spouses of retired workers, average monthly benefit $893 could rise to $919 per month. Children of retired workers, average monthly benefit of $859 a month could grow to $885. Survivor benefits, average monthly benefit of $1,451 could rise to $1,495. Non-disabled widowers and widows, average monthly benefit $1,713 could rise to $1,764. Disabled widowers, average monthly benefit of $894 could increase to $921. Disabled workers, your average monthly benefit is $1,486, could rise to $1,531. And then spouses of disabled workers, average monthly benefit of $407 could increase to $419. The next chart is going to show what has the COLA for Social Security been over the last roughly 20 years, dating back to 2003. And if you take a look at that chart, you can see obviously 2023 was a great increase. And then there were years that there was zero increase. So as you interpret this data, you might be sitting there and saying, well, hey, I haven't taken Social Security yet. You know, a married couple, I've heard it said, has 81 different strategies to file for Social Security. And one of the things that we get to do here at Centennial Wealth is figure out how you might best position your Social Security payments and strategies. You know, a recent case in the Cadillac office I just ran across was, hey Jack, when should we start Social Security? And so the first thing that we did is we looked at their tax diversification, and they were both working and doing well. And then they said, well, we have enough in savings to last us 2 years. So I said, okay, if you feel good about what your lifespan is going to be and we want to delay your Social Security, we're going to let it grow about 8% a year as you're delaying it. Then we're going to do some tax planning, some Roth conversions, and start buying out Uncle Sam at some cheap rates. And then once we get to that time of a couple years later, now we're going to start the Social Security, and then we don't have to take as much withdrawals from the IRA. So it's a fascinating strategy. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to us. And as always, you can find us on youtube.com/retiringwell. Be sure to like, subscribe, and feel free to share the great education. Have a great day.
As you are planning for retirement, where's your journey taking you? Do you know where you are going? How are you going to get there? And what's the best route to take? Do you have a personal retirement roadmap? At Centennial Wealth Advisory, we specialize in retirement planning, and we have designed a complimentary retirement roadmap video series that can be customized based on your personal circumstance and preferences. There is no cost and no obligation. Simply go to cen-wealth.com/roadmap and provide us with some basic information that will guide you to your on-demand, customized retirement roadmap video. Planning is the first step to succeeding. Plan to retire well. If you like watching Retiring Well, make sure to go to youtube.com/retiringwell and click the subscribe button to never miss any of our TV shows and other informative videos.
Your grandchildren are precious to you. They are your life. This is your time to have that special relationship. Taking care of yourself is taking care of them. Centennial Wealth Advisory is offering a free, no-obligation retirement review to make sure you don't run out of money during your retirement. Centennial Wealth Advisory. Your best is yet to come.
I'd like to share some thoughts with you about how to build a stronger IRA. So first off, IRA stands for Individual Retirement Account. A lot of times people ask, well, wait, maybe it's a husband and wife that, well, can't we just put it into one account? Well, that's where Individual Retirement Account comes in. So it has to stay in one individual's name. So I'm going to walk you through a few different ideas here of how to build that stronger IRA. The first is going to be educate yourself. There's various types of IRAs. You have your traditional IRA, Roth IRA, simple IRA, SEP IRA, each of which has different eligibility criteria. There's going to be different contribution limits to take into consideration, tax advantages, and maybe even different withdrawal rules that would come into play. So you want to make sure that you're finding what fits you and your goals appropriately. The second is going to be looking at maximizing contributions. As an example, in 2023, the maximum contribution for a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA is $6,000. Now, if you're age 50 or older, that bumps up to $7,000. And it's 1-2, and as you think about it, you've probably heard before, but the sooner that you can get started contributing into your retirement plan and that compounding interest that you could see over your lifetime, all the more power to you to be able to do that. And ideally, you're trying to find ways to maximize those contributions. And it's one where a key thing here that we would encourage is taking into consideration the tax implications. Are you in a position where you really need the tax deduction now? So that's where you may be looking at more traditional IRA, simple IRA, SEP IRA, depending on how your employment is structured and compensation and everything. But maybe you're in a spot where you thought, well, okay, maybe it's taking after-tax dollars, contributing into the Roth, and letting that accumulate, and then the growth is going to be tax-free as long as you wait till after age 59 and a half to withdraw it. So There's a lot of things to consider when it comes to that. The third area, diversify your investments. You've heard it time and time again, but an IRA allows a variety of different investment options when you look at that maybe in comparison to typically what you would find within, say, a 401k plan. So your employer may offer a 401k, and within that they might give you a menu of different, typically mutual funds or something that you can choose from. Whereas once the money's in an IRA, now it opens up a lot more different options, and with that, your risk tolerance is so vital. You want to make sure that not only from a financial perspective that matches up, but mentally you don't want to have any undue stress if you're taking on way more risk in your portfolio than you feel comfortable with, because you don't want to be staying up at night wondering, are you going to be able to retire? So you want to make sure that your portfolio matches what you're comfortable with. Along with that, diversifying the investments, the stocks, bonds, mutual funds, exchange traded funds, different managed accounts. You can diversify through that amongst different sectors and markets, indices, etc. You could talk to the bank. They offer different CDs. You can go through insurance companies, have different types of annuities. So all of these different types of accounts could be held within an IRA. Number 4 is being proactive. You want to be reviewing regularly your portfolio, and then as appropriate make adjustments as time moves along. Maybe your risk tolerance changes. So maybe in your early working years you're ready to take a lot of risk, and later on in life, okay, maybe you want to step back from that risk and reduce your overall exposure. And another area is that the goals or the purpose of the money can change over time as well. We've seen clients that maybe set up something years ago with an insurance company for an annuity that was going to generate some income, and they find themselves in a spot where they don't necessarily need that income. So how can you better utilize that money? So building a stronger IRA ultimately requires a combination of knowledge, discipline, and proactive decision making. So if you're in a spot where you may not be fully confident with what your retirement plan looks like, or you're unsure about your IRA, we encourage you to continue to check out youtube.com/retiringwell to learn more. You can like, share, subscribe, and give us a call here at Centennial Wealth Advisory.
Living life isn't always easy. It puts up challenges and obstacles you'll have to overcome. There are responsibilities. You put in effort to provide and take care of your family, and to save and invest, to balance work and life. Planning is the first step to succeeding. Plan to retire well.
So I'm Candace Hamill, Executive Director of the Father Fred Foundation. The foundation has been here since 1989, founded by Father Fred himself after he left the state hospital. When those doors closed, he was worried about the community's needs when all of those patients who left. So since 1989, when our doors opened here, he's been providing food, emergency financial assistance, and clothing and household items for families and individuals in need, all of the essential needs. What's really unique about our foundation is that we're 100% funded by community donations. We don't accept state grants, anything like that, so we can help those families that fall through the cracks. We're real excited this year about our back to school shoe program. We've been doing this for several years, but it was just in the last few years that we've actually taken it on the road to hit all 5 of our counties that we serve. So we're able to serve a whole lot more children to get ready to go back to school. These new shoes, they're very high quality. We make sure they fit those kids' feet so they're comfortable and confident, and they're alongside their peers with other new back to school items, and that they're ready to start the school year. We also have our Vision to Learn partners here with us. They're here donating all of their time, making sure kids' eyes are ready to go to school, and if in fact they do need prescription glasses, then Father Fred will cover that cost as well. It's a back to school shoe event. So what we do is we provide every child from if they're walking all the way up to their 12th grade of school, we provide new school shoes, for back to school shoes. That includes socks. We provide school supplies. Of course, I mentioned earlier the vision screenings to make sure that kids are ready to go back to school. The whole idea about getting on the road to the other counties is a lot of our families are so rural and transportation is a significant barrier. So we want to make sure that those kids are served as well. And then finally, we can't do it without the volunteers. We've had such an amazing turnout of organization teams coming and just hammering it out with these kids, and super great energy. It's a little bit crazy around here sometimes, but it's a good kind of crazy.
Penalties. Whenever I think of penalties, it always takes me back to my early days when I'm playing hockey. So I started playing hockey when I was about 4 years old, and I absolutely hated that penalty box. I'm not the biggest guy, so I didn't get into fights or anything like that, but from time to time I would find myself in the penalty box. Usually it was inadvertently, like I tripped somebody up or something like that. And those were the longest 2 minutes of my life, watching the game go by, sitting there being penalized in that penalty box. And the IRS has a lot of different rules and regulations that you got to follow in retirement. Otherwise, you face those penalties, and nobody likes penalties, right? So one situation that often comes up in retirement planning is getting access to your IRAs before that magical age of 59 and a half, okay? The IRS says, hey, if you access your IRA before that magical age of 59 and a half, not only do you have to pay tax on those funds that you take out of the IRA, but there's also that 10% penalty for doing that. Now, there are some exceptions and ways to avoid that 10% penalty. And by my count, there's about 12 different ways. So the first way, obviously, well, you just leave the funds there until age 59 and a half. But that's maybe not always the case, and maybe you need to access those funds before that magical age of 59 and a half. So an option is to use those funds for medical expenses that might come up. Okay, the IRS says, hey, you can use up to 10% of your AGI for medical expenses when you take that from the IRA, and you don't have to pay that 10% penalty on that. Number 3, you can use IRA distributions before age 59 and a half and avoid that penalty if you put that money into a health insurance premium. So let's say, for example, you're laid off, okay? Then you go on Cobra or Marketplace Insurance, and you can use those funds from the IRA to help you pay for the cost of health insurance. Another option is to pay for some college costs, okay? So you can pay for room, board, tuition, and so forth for yourself, or maybe you got the kids or even the grandkids, and you can take money out of that IRA without that 10% penalty. But remember, when you do that, you still have to pay the tax on it, even if it's going to college and tuition and so forth. Option 5, okay? You can use IRA money pre-age 59 and a half to purchase a first-time home. Okay, and the IRS has some wiggle room there. So if you haven't owned a home in the last 2 years, then that qualifies you to be able to take some money out of the IRA to use to purchase for a first-time home purchase. Now, there are some limits to that, right? So if you're a single filer, you can only take $10,000 out of the IRA without penalty. And if you're married, you just double it, so it's at 20. Another option is for a birth or an adoption. So if you need some extra money, you're under the age of 59 and a half and you just had a child, you can take up to $5,000 as long as it's within a year of the birth of the child or adoption of the child, and you don't have to worry about that 10% penalty. Another option, option 7, hey, maybe you're on disability and you need some help covering those expenses. You can take money out of your IRA to help with that. Obviously, you do have to prove that you're disabled and that those funds are going to medical expenses for that disability. Also, another option is, hey, maybe you're in the military and you're active duty or you're deployed and you need some money and you want to tap into that IRA. Well, typically you can do that without paying that extra 10% penalty if you're in the military and you're deployed. Another option is what we call a 72T distribution. So this allows you to retire a little bit early and set up automatic payments. They're equal throughout the years based on lifetime tables and so forth, and you can access that IRA without paying up that 10% penalty. Of course, still taxable, but this is something where you definitely want to meet with your accountant or your financial advisor before you pull the trigger on that, so you know you're pulling the right amount. You can also take money out of the IRA without incurring a penalty to do Roth conversions, okay? You don't have to be 59 and a half to do that. And then the last one is, okay, well, you could leave the money in the IRA or 401k and have that money back in the 401k and take that out after the age of 55 without penalty. So 12 different options there that you can take money out of the IRA without facing that penalty. If you have any questions on that, please don't hesitate to give us a call.
The culture in our office is phenomenal. We empower our team to be problem solvers. Oftentimes in this industry, things are going to change. So our team is empowered here to make decisions and to be able to problem solve for you. We have a lot of fun at the office and we're a close group. When you call here, you get a person, and that culture shines through.
Relationships are so key when it comes to anything in life, and so here at Centennial Wealth Advisory, we focus a lot on team approach. We've started the Centennial Wealth Health Club.
We go down to the beach, we play some beach volleyball, some cornhole. Great time to just get together, relax with the team, but also get a little competitive as well.
It opens up those relationships to really get to know each other well. Building trust, the best definition that we've heard is consistency over time, and that's something that initially you can't get with a first meeting with someone, but as time evolves and our clients are working with us, they not only experience that with the financial advisory team, but also our tax team and health insurance team that all work together to ensure that they have a lifelong plan that they can count on.
It's a neat culture here in a small office. You don't necessarily have a lot of that corporate overhead. If we have a client who wants certain services, we can certainly offer those services, but go above and beyond with some of the other things that we do.
Confidence is something hard to put a price tag on. Finances don't just end with finances. Finances flow over into relationships, into daily emotions. And so when you can teach and you can get them to understand and they can find that confidence and you bring them to that, that's so rewarding.
I do think that what we're doing here is important. A lot of people think that they're fine, but they've never really looked into it. So if people can do more to be able to help themselves, live a more fun and enjoyable retirement, but also to be able to take care of themselves, then it benefits the whole community.
As you are planning for retirement, where's your journey taking you? Do you know where you are going? How are you going to get there? And what's the best route to take? Do you have a personal retirement roadmap? At Centennial Wealth Advisory, we specialize in retirement planning, and we have designed a complimentary retirement roadmap video series that can be customized based on your personal circumstance and preferences. There is no cost and no obligation. Simply go to cen-wealth.com/roadmap and provide us with some basic information that will guide you to your on-demand, customized retirement roadmap video. Planning is the first step to succeeding. Plan to retire well.
You're a business owner. You've forged your own path along the way to create this business, provide for your family, and build this potential business that you have over these years. You've already kind of forged a unique path. As we've met with business owners over the years and helped them plan for their retirement, sometimes I joke with them and say, you know, business owners make the worst investors. Why is that? Because you've been in charge of everything your whole life. You know that if you spend $1 on marketing, you can sell X number of widgets or whatever you do. You put $1 into your company, it's going to give you a number back. As an investor, you have to give up a little bit of that control, right? So it's a different feeling from when you're a business owner. So as business owners, we have to kind of start to adapt and look at retirement and make sure we're able and capable of doing this at different levels, and how are we going to do this? So let me pose a couple things out there for our business owners out here that just to kind of start thinking about as you're starting to consider your retirement. One, is your business worth anything? And you kind of might say, well, what do you mean? Of course it's worth something. Well, if you put that business on the market for sale today, can it be sold? Is it marketable? Do you just have inventory? Do you just have goodwill? What are the various things that you might be able to sell, or can you sell it as a whole? Are you even going to sell it? You know, oftentimes, when you look at a business, you're creating value and you're growing the value of the business, or in some businesses out there, you're just really creating a paycheck, and when you walk away, the business may not have value. So start to look at that and how that looks for you. Also, what is that succession plan? If you're even going to sell the business, who's going to take it over? Is there someone in the business that's already kind of worked their way into that role? Is there a family member that's going to take it over? Or are you going to put it on the market and just walk away from this? And ask yourself realistically, are you going to be able to personally walk away from this business? Retiring as a business owner sometimes is one of the hardest things to do. Also, is there real estate out there? Do you own real estate with this business? Is that going to be able to be sold at some point? And what value is that? Or does it make sense to keep that real estate intact, maybe sell the business and then rent that out, and from a cash flow perspective? Again, different options that maybe a business owner may have. Also, one thing you can do while you're still working is take advantage of the other options that you may have to save for retirement that just business owners have that ability to. Depending upon the size of your business, number of employees, income levels, stuff like that, you may have access to simple IRAs, SEP IRAs, maybe a solo 401k or a traditional 401k. All these different things out there that may be only available to business owners or the likes of there. So take advantage of some of these opportunities out there. And one little thing too that's maybe not from an investment perspective that we too often see as business owners is don't forget about life insurance. You know, as a business owner, you're assuming a lot of risk out there on yourself, and usually you have a lot of power in a way over that business. And if something happened to you, there's a lot of people affected, and in many cases you kind of have the secret sauce of that business. So protect your family members, your loved ones, and consider that life insurance while you're still working and growing that business. So if you're a business owner out there and you're unsure of retirement and you want to start putting together these pieces, it's a great time, and there's never too early to start. Here at Centennial Wealth, we'd love to help you sit down with that and create a personalized retirement plan so you can plan to retire well, even as a business owner.